how dare you? You never had a baby. Your wife had a baby, but you never had a baby. So you know nothing about this.
Now that JD Vance has been named as Donald Trump's vice presidential candidate, some very controversial things that he said in the past about people who don't have children are starting to surface. Whoopi Goldberg and the other ladies of The View broke all of this down and shared their thoughts on it. Check this out.
And because we trust women to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do.
You know, now, on the other side of the aisle, rumors are growing that Republicans, are second-guessing their VP choice.
Oh, yeah.
And resurfaced with a video of JD Vance, and it's not really helping him connect with a lot of voters. Take a look.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
Sir,
Wow.
there are people who have chosen not to have children for whatever reason. There are people who want to have children who cannot. How dare you? You never had a baby. Your wife had a baby, but you never had a baby. So you know nothing about this. And how dare you? And women, you heard how he thinks of you.
Yeah.
This is not good for you, JD.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay, now The View shared this particular clip of JD Vance saying that, and it's not just a one-off. This user, Pat Reinard on Twitter, shared a clip of JD Vance being even more clear about what he thinks about this. Let's take a look at this here.
Let's give votes to all children in this country, but let's give control over those votes to the parents of those children. When you go to the polls in this country as a parent, you should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids. Let's face the consequences and the reality. If you don't have as much of an investment in the future of this country, maybe you shouldn't get nearly the same voice.
Now, I don't often agree with Whoopi Goldberg and the other women of The View, and we're going to see more what the other women have to say, but I've got to say, in this case, I totally agree with Whoopi Goldberg. It's none of JD Vance's business whether somebody has children or not. And in the United States of America, it's one person, one vote. Everybody gets a vote. It doesn't matter if you have kids. It doesn't matter if you don't have kids. And this is absolutely insulting on JD Vance's part. You have about 22% of the adult population who does not have children. So this data comes from Nature magazine. Our prevalence estimates suggest that child-free adults are quite common, comprising over 1/5, 21.64% of the population. So that's millions of people in the United States who do not have children. That's millions of people in the United States who don't have children. Either they were unable to have children, people who wanted to have kids but could not, or they chose not to have children. And those people are every bit as American as the people who have children and choose to have children. We're all Americans. It's one person, one vote. This is not going to work out. And this stance by JD Vance, if he still has this, is not going to work out well for him.
The way what I was hearing is, unless you have a child, you don't have a stake in this country because you don't have a stake in the future of this country. And that is a very myopic view of this world because, as you said, there are people that don't have children by choice. There are people that don't have children because they can't have children. And there are very young Gen Z voters that are in college that are one of the growing demographics of voters that don't have children yet.
And this is actually a really great point by Sunny Hostin here. You have, we all get to vote starting at age 18. And there would obviously be a whole lot of people who are 18 years old and up into their 20s who would not have children. So they don't have as much right to vote as everybody else who has a family and has kids and all of that. This is just nonsense. And Sunny Hostin is completely right.
So two things are blowing up my phone because I'm everyone's political friend. So people I've known over the years want to send me their thoughts. The first is hearing from people who are saying, I don't necessarily agree with Kamala Harris's policies, but I'm open to considering her pitch because I want to turn the page on the chaos and the division of the last 8 years. They want to turn the page on just what has been such a discordant time in politics. The other is this JD Vance clip. I saw it years ago, a couple years ago when he said it, but I am hearing from so many girlfriends, lifelong Republicans, that are so offended by it. Because if you're a woman of about my age or mid-30s, the most common thing that my friends are dealing with is infertility, miscarriages, struggling to get pregnant, wanting to and it not happening, or people who so badly want to get married but they haven't met the right partner yet. How dare you denigrate them and say that they are not as valuable, they don't have as much of a stake in this society? And finally, how dare you come for cat ladies? The cover of Time magazine, Taylor Swift, the ultimate fabulous cat lady.
That's right.
Okay, I don't care about Taylor Swift, but I agree with Alyssa Farah Griffin here as well. Think of all the women who are trying to have children, people who are married couples and they're trying to have children and they haven't been able to yet. They don't get the same vote as everybody else. I mean, it's just nonsense. JD Vance should be ashamed of himself for even bringing this up. That's not America. We all get one vote. Doesn't matter what your views are. If you're married, you're single, you have kids, you don't have kids, everybody gets one vote. So this goes against JD Vance's stance here, goes against everything we were brought up to believe in the United States. And this isn't going to fly with the vast majority of people. And like I said at the beginning, I don't often agree with these women, but Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, Alyssa Farah Griffin, they're all correct about this. JD Vance is wrong. This is a horrible take by him. And you also have millions and millions. It's like 35% of Americans own cats. So you want to piss off all the cat owners too? I mean, just idiotic by JD Vance.
A little tail pulling. You know who else didn't have kids? George Washington, the father of our nation. And you know what he did?
And they call him the father of our nation?
Yes. But you know what he did?
Look at that.
Like Kamala, he raised Martha's children. He raised them with her. James Polk had no children, James Buchanan, Andrew Jackson, because none of them could have kids. Children.
So all of these great men from our history, they had less right to vote than the people who had children? Bullshit. Whoopi Goldberg, I totally agree with her on this take.
Are very important to us as a nation, but what is more important, because I want to bring up what you said again, we pay taxes not for the stuff that is for us, but how we help other people. This is a country that has always said, listen, you're going to give some. I know you got to go.
Okay.
But this is what we do. We pay on things that are not for us, but it makes it better for everybody else. That's the American way. And that's why we can't take anything you're saying really seriously, JD Vance, because you're not making sense to us.
So this is something, clearly JD Vance is going to get really, really hammered on this. These were stupid comments for him to make. It's none of his damn business whether people have children or not, whether they choose to have children or they can't have children. We all have a right to vote. So Whoopi Goldberg is correct here. Sunny Hostin is correct. Joy Behar, the other members here on The View, are absolutely correct in this stance. And I think you have to point out, even if it's people that you don't necessarily agree with, you have to point out when they're correct. So Whoopi Goldberg is right on this. JD Vance is wrong. And I hope at some point he will come out and say he was wrong. I doubt that's going to happen. But what do you think? Do you agree with Whoopi Goldberg here? Do you agree with Joy Behar? Do you agree with the other hosts here on The View? Or do you think if a person doesn't have children, they don't have as much right to vote in our country and they don't have any say in the direction of our country? I personally think that's insanity. But what do you think? Make sure to give me a like, a comment, a subscribe. If you like this channel, it helps me to grow. I'll see you in the next video.